Hey, hi everybody. I'm making this video to talk about the amazing Boss Body Nutrition Program, and of course, the person who's behind whose brainchild it is, D. Gautam. She's amazing. I think a lot of you out there know that already, and I don't need to like reiterate that, but she's really truly amazing. Um, I'm just gonna briefly talk about how the Boss Body Nutrition Program and D have changed my life completely for the better, and how I am eons ahead of where I wanted to be before, and I'm eons ahead of where I was a year back. I don't know where to begin. It's a really long story, but I'm gonna do my best. I was living a really sad and pathetic life. I shouldn't say that myself, but it is what it is. Even a year back, I could say, yeah, like so for the past 2 3 years. So what had happened is, okay, so let's begin at the beginning, the very beginning. It's going to be a long story. So sorry for that, but yeah. I've always been a chubby child, a healthy child, or whatever you'd like to call it, like someone who's had weight problems and weight issues, struggled with my weight all my life, and I've been fat shamed, I've been bullied, and I've been body shamed, and all other kinds of shaming that you could ever think of all my life, not just by random people on the road or strangers. I've had family members fat shame me, and friends fat shame me, and teachers fat shame me. Colleagues fat shame me, and it is just a thing. When you grow up in India, it's not really a big deal. It's like one of those things. I know it's really sad to admit that, but that's the truth, and it's really not a big deal. It just happens every day, and in India, and I know something should happen about it, but anyway, this video is not about that. That's another topic for another day. I was in a really sad place, have been for most of my life, but there have been happy moments too. Um, I was an obese child, an obese teenager, and I've literally tried every other crash diet that is there is out there. Any fat diet, name it, I would have surely tried it. I would have looked for different parts of different diets from different parts of the world, and tried it, and then failed miserably, like probably anyone else who tries those things, because their crash diets are not going to work. And I grew up with the usual social conditioning that you would expect a child to grow up under these circumstances, that when you're fat, you're ugly, and you need to be thin in order to be beautiful, and you need to subscribe or bend to the conventional standards of beauty in order to be considered a respectable person in the society, or to be respected by anyone for that matter. I'm so sorry, I'm touching my eye. My lens is just irritating me. I'm so sorry. So, and It got to a point where my self worth was absolutely inexistent, non-existent. I don't know what's the word, but yeah. And my self-esteem was zero. My self-confidence was something that I didn't know existed before this. I was in a really sad place, and um, but at different times in life, I saw different happy moments and successes. So I was in and out of it. It's not like it was all the time. So until I was 18, I'd already tried like 100 million different crash diets, and worked out like crazy, and never ever consistently. When I say worked out like crazy, what I mean is go to the gym like 2 days in a month, and then work out like crazy for like 3 hours, and think that I'm done. And I'm like, I'm good, because I worked out for 3 hours for 2 days that month, and that's a huge deal, isn't it? No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, I used to do that, and so I maybe lost, I lost like 25 kilos at one point. I lost like 15 kilos at one point, and then gained all that back like you would expect it to. I gained all the weight back and even more. As a result of not working on consistently and doing all these crash diets where I wasn't getting the nutrition my body needed, and I was literally practically starving or either I was starving or I was eating crap, like boiled food and salads. I'm sorry I call that crap if you like it, but uh, I don't. So I was eating crap like that. And I'm a huge cheese lover. I love my cheese. I love my potatoes. And I was conditioned into thinking that cheese is bad for you, potatoes are bad for you, and carbs are bad for you. Oh my God, don't even get me started on the carbs. Carbs are bad for you, and um, yeah, things like that. So I truly started believing that these things are bad for me, and these things are the reason I look the way I look, and the reason I have all these health issues. So as you know, you would expect, because of the excess weight and the extremely bad lifestyle, I developed a lot of health conditions over the years. I developed PCOS, like most women in the world do, and severe hormonal imbalance, a fatty liver, and I can go on and on. So yeah, and I was told that the reason these things were happening is because I'm eating a lot of cheese and potatoes and a lot of junk, which junk part probably might be true, but not the cheese and potatoes, because I mean I probably might have been having them in excess, but telling me that to stop eating them completely was not the solution. That I realize now. So, and of course, I struggled with the opposite sex, and having been to a girls' school almost all my life, I always had struggle. I always struggled talking to boys and socializing with boys, or socializing in general. Like, my friends circle was quite limited for an extrovert, which I believe I was before, because I was trying to overcompensate for the fact that I had zero self-esteem and zero self-worth. So I used to be the funny one and try to crack jokes on myself, like if you were one of those people, you would understand. So try to become the butt of the joke before I gave an opportunity to someone else to do that. It was just easier to crack jokes about myself and get on with it, so that I don't get hurt because of what someone said. So yeah, and it was like this, and then I turned 18 and I went to college, which is co-ed, and it was a crazy big change for me, because I had to talk to boys now, I had to sit next to boys, and for a really long time I truly believed that most of these boys didn't never approached me, never came and spoke to me because of the way I looked, which probably is true for some of them. I don't want to generalize and say that all men are like that, but some are, just like how some girls are too. So I truly believed it, but it took a very long time for me to realize that probably the reason that these boys never approached me is because my self confidence was so low that I never made an effort to reach out to them, or I never gave them the space to come and talk to me. So that's probably why that I never got attention from the opposite sex. But I, in my heart, always believe that it's because I'm fat, and boys don't like fat girls, boys like thin girls, and yeah, things like that. So this went on for a really long time, and then when I think I was 20, I started taking my weight loss pretty seriously, and I started hitting the gym. And this time I didn't really go on a crash diet, but I didn't really go on a really good nutrition plan as well. I just stopped eating cheese and carbs. I mean, I was still eating carbs, but I made sure that I was eating it at home. I was having my usual rice and rotis and stuff that my mom used to make for me, and I stopped eating out completely, which was not really healthy, considering that I built this very unhealthy relationship with the foods that I liked. Like, I'm a huge fan of pizzas and pastas and sandwiches, and I'm a huge Indian food happens to be my most favorite. I know that's really cliched, but yeah. So I love the gobi manchurians and the samosas and parathas and things like that. And I stopped eating that completely because, in my mind, I decided that, eating that is the reason why I looked like this. So, but that again, I lost like 25 kilos, but then I gained them again because, when I started eating those foods again, and I started binging on them because I had restricted myself from eating them for such a long time, that I just went crazy with them. So, all the weight came back, all the weight and more came back actually. Um, so this went on for some time, and then this, yo-yoing kept happening. And then I moved to the US 5 years back for my master's, and I miraculously lost like 20 kilos again. But that's probably because I was away from home. I was homesick, and I was not really getting home cooked food, and I had to cook for myself. Eating out was not an option when you're a student. You're broke most of the time. So, I started eating at home a lot more, not because, I had to keep away from the foods that I like, but financial reasons and things like that. And, with I was living with roommates and friends who used to judge me really, really harshly when if for even adding ghee to my food. Ghee is like clarified butter. And so, I started reducing those things out of being so conscious. And I'd never lived in a hostel before in my life. So it was all very new to me, living with other people and getting accustomed to those surroundings. So that automatically killed my appetite. And I'm not saying that I lost weight because I did lose weight because I wasn't eating as much as I did before. But again, it was not a healthy weight loss. And I wasn't really working out as much. I was just physically more active because I was in college. I was walking a lot more to classes, and we used to play badminton at the gym and things like that, but not really because I was making an intentional effort to do it. And then college finished. I'd been the thinnest in my life, but it also happens to be the two most happier years of my life. I wouldn't say happiest, happier. And that's probably why I looked great and I looked thinner, because I my mental stress was really low, and I didn't really have the kind of adult problems that I have today. And I was really going through a very happy, fun, jolly time that most of us go through in college. So that's probably also the reason that I looked really thinner and I felt really good on the inside. And I did have my occasional binging and things like that. But having said that, even during this time, my mindset, my negative relationship with food never changed. I still had a very negative relationship with food. I would still get judged very harshly by people around me when I ate like an extra roti or an extra, handful of rice, or like I said, ghee, or things like that. So that made me super conscious. And the negative relationship that I had with my food increased because of that, because now I would dread eating pizzas and pastas and things like that. So, and then I graduated from college and adulthood caught up with me. I turned 25, and I was going through a quarter life crisis, if you will. And I was looking for jobs. I had to sit at home for like 8 months and apply for jobs. And I was broke as hell, and I had to make a lot of changes to my life. So that stress sent me into a depression, and I gained all the weight that I lost during those 2 years in college and a lot more. And this is the heaviest I've ever been in my life. This point of time when I graduated from college and I was looking for jobs. And then I landed a job. And then how people get, I don't know if it's just me, because I've seen this happen to a lot of people. When people graduate from college and they start working, it's, people just tend to get fat. I don't know why that happens. It's probably because you're independent now, you're earning on your own, and you have a car, and you have your own apartment, you get to do whatever you want. And maybe that's probably why people tend to let go of themselves, which is exactly what I did. I can't speak for others, but I did that. And I was in a very happy, and so I started dating someone when I started my master's here in the US. And we've been together for 5 years. We're engaged and we're getting married in a few months. So so at the beginning of the relationship, I was very conscious about how I looked. And because it's a new relationship, you want to impress the guy. But then once you get into that comfortable zone with your with your soulmate, with your spouse, I don't know what to call him, but yeah, you tend to kind of let go, because you've already impressed the guy, and the guy is not going to leave you and things like that. So yeah, so that's also one of the reasons that I let go of myself like really, really hard. And so I started working, and I completely lost track of my nutrition, my workouts. I stopped working out completely, even the little bit that I was doing before. And so this was the period of time that I said is the most sad and pathetic time of my life, because I used to work in this place in Indiana. You know how the Midwest is, but yeah. So it is the worst place I've ever lived in my life, worst place I've ever worked in my life, because it was an extremely depressing small town. There was literally nothing to do there, and we had to drive 3 hours just to get Indian groceries. And my diet comprised, I'm a vegetarian, by the way. I completely forgot to mention this. So that was one of the other biggest struggles that I've been facing in my life, being a vegetarian and trying to lose weight. And it's not like, I mean, it was cultural to begin with, but then it became a preference. I don't really like the taste of meat or chicken. I do have eggs. I don't mind the eggs. But it became really difficult to lose weight when you're a vegetarian, because you don't get enough proteins and things like that. So during this time, we had to drive 3 hours to get Indian groceries, since my diet was predominantly Indian and vegetarian. And, American food really it didn't really, what do you say, gel. I couldn't gel with it, because it's, very rich, and I was already gaining a lot of weight. And but in doing so, I started restricting myself too much, and then I used to just binge my heart out the minute I could get my hand on something that I loved, which is probably the mistake. So the first few months were fine, and then after that I stopped working out completely, and then we stopped cooking completely. We used to cook a lot, like my fiance and I used to cook a lot before. So he landed a job in the same small town that I did, so we used to cook together and things like that. So it became really tough to start cooking because we were getting accustomed to the new lifestyle of working, and the 8 to 5 job that we'd never done before in our lives, and keeping an apartment clean and doing my laundry and things like that. I was really getting accustomed to the adult life. So when I say sad and pathetic, there's a story that comes to my mind. So what happened is what used to happen is I used to come back from work every evening, and I used to tell myself that I'm going to go to the gym today, and then I would be super hungry by the time I came back from work, because I would never eat at regular intervals. I would have like a good breakfast, and then I would not eat till 12 or 1 p.m., which is the worst thing to do. And I would have my lunch, and then I would again go hungry from 1 to 6 p.m., which is the worst thing to do, because those hunger pangs that hit you at 4 p.m. are literally the worst kind of hunger pangs in the world. So when those hunger pangs used to hit, the first thing that used to come to my mind is just eat, just eat, just eat. Going to the gym doesn't matter, or cooking doesn't matter. So I used to go out, get these cheese fries. There was a really good Mexican place near where I lived, and they had the best cheese fries in town. And I used to get this big box of cheese fries. I used to take them out and go home, and it was like like at least 2 cups of fries doused in queso. That's basically the Mexican cheese sauce. And lots of salsa, lots of sour cream, lots of avocados, and yeah, and have that. And and then I would be like, oh, I'm so full, I don't feel like moving, I think I'm just gonna binge watch Friends, or something, or Parks and Rec. And I would just binge watch something on Netflix, and then I would stay awake till midnight watching TV, or doing something, and just go to bed. And then I would wake up feeling super guilty that I wasted the previous day not working out, and that I binged again. And most of the time when I took out, which was took out food, that is carried food out, that is pretty much every day, I would eat so mindlessly. Like, even if I wouldn't know when I felt full, I would most likely just finish eating the food, and then I would be like, shit, I ate a lot and I can't move now, and my stomach's bloated. What do I do? So that happened so much. That happened so much during that time. And I didn't know that I was, I could stop it from happening if I was just mindful of how I ate. But yeah, it was like that. And I'm not really proud of that time. And I'm not really proud of myself for doing that. But anyway. So, yeah, so this was it. And the cheese fries almost every day. And the weekends used to be crazy. Like, I used to get these big bag of Ruffles and buy that Lay's French onion, not the French onion dip, like the ranch dip, if I'm not wrong, and complete the whole bag of chips and complete the bottle of the dip that I bought. And this is generally how my life looked, and extremely sad and pathetic. No workouts, and just binging. So a year and a half, or maybe 2 years, yeah, I think a year and a half into this, our families decided that they found, we had to discuss our relationship with our families. It's an Indian thing. So, and our families agreed to take our relationship to the next level. They wanted us to get engaged. So, and that's when it hit me. I didn't want to look like this at my wedding at all. And I think this was sometime in 2017, if I'm not wrong, towards the end of 2017. And I didn't want to look like this at my wedding. I know it sounds like a very superficial reason to lose weight, but that's how it began. But yeah, so I don't want to look, I never imagined because it was, ever since I was a kid, there always used to be this thing that keeps running in my mind that, okay, by the time I'm in the 5th grade, I'm going to lose the weight, I'm going to look fabulous. By the time and then it became 6th grade, and then it became 7th grade, and then it became 12th grade. And then it used to be like, by the time I'm in college, I'm going to lose all the weight. By the time I graduate, when I take my grad work, I'm going to lose all the weight. I'm going to lose all the weight because before I land my first job, I'm going to lose all the weight before I move. And, it kept going on. And I was like, oh my God, how many more years am I going to keep doing this? And I was 26 already at that time. I was 26 and a half. I was like, I don't want to go into my 30s looking like this and feeling like this beyond anything, because after 25, it really hits you hard. Until 25, your body kind of is extremely resilient no matter how much you put your body through. But after 25 just gives away, like, part by part. So I ended up having a very bad knee injury, due to, being overweight, and also because of stressing it too much during college. And I couldn't walk. My joints used to ache extremely badly, and my knee injury made it really difficult for me to climb stairs, which was the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me. And I had a ligament tear on my ankle, and I started becoming extremely embarrassingly breathless when I started climbing stairs, or even, getting up from my bed and going to the bathroom. I used to go breathless, and many other things like that. My PCOS, my period became extremely irregular. My periods were never really regular because of having been overweight all my life. But during those 2 years in college, and the 4 years before college, and during those 2 years, my period was extremely regular, because my weight was kind of under control, you could say. Like, I wasn't increasing the weight as I was maintaining how much I was. So it was good. But then, yeah, during this time again, my periods became extremely irregular, and I literally didn't get my period for like 8 months straight. I know that sounds super scary, and I couldn't afford healthcare. I didn't have a good insurance, so I couldn't really go to a doctor here. And I'd gone to India for a friend's wedding for a week, and that's when I went to my gynac, and she said that you really have to, drop the weight, because that's the reason you're not getting your period, and you're probably going to I had to undergo surgery when I was 15 to remove some of the cysts on my ovaries. So she said, if you're going to keep going like this, then you're probably going to have to redo the surgery, and that's going to be really tough because you're old now. So yeah, I don't want to go into my 30s looking like this. I don't want to get married looking like this. I don't want to go into my 30s feeling like this with all the joint pains and everything. So and then I seriously started taking it up, and I started working out. I had a personal trainer, and before I joined the Boss Body Nutrition program, I think I worked out by myself for 4 months, and I wouldn't really call it a diet. I just stopped eating outside food completely, and I would just eat what I cooked at home, but I never measured anything. And here's a fun fact: what I thought was 1 cup of rice previously was actually 3 cups of rice. 3 cups of rice for lunch, and I thought it was 1 cup. I was shocked the day I found out how much 1 cup of rice looks like. And the best part, I was overeating before. The 3 cups of rice that I was having, I could never finish it at lunch at work. I would always bring my lunch home. I would almost always bring it back home, and I would either throw it in the trash, or I would just have it for dinner or something. But when I started having just 1 cup of rice for lunch, I realized that that's all my body ever needed. That's all my body ever needed. And I started eating more mindfully. So, I never knew that before. So, and then after 4 months of doing this by myself, I realized that, my relationship with food is one of the main reasons why, I've never been able to lose my weight, or even if I lose the weight, I gain it back. And I've been doing this on and off again all my life. So I approached Dee. I happened upon one of her posts on Instagram. It was not a nutrition related post. It was completely different, and I just saw the post and I really liked it. So I went into her Instagram profile, and I found out that she was actually a fitness coach. So I started following her, and I started looking at all her posts, and it looked like exactly what I wanted. And it looked like exactly something that I was looking for, because I had already decided that I'm not going to restrict myself from the foods that I love, but at the same time I want to make sure that my relationship with those foods, and even any kind of food, is extremely healthy, that I don't dread any food, or that I don't develop an extremely bad relationship with any food. And her posts were extremely motivational, and she was literally the only nutritionist one of the very few nutritionists that I've seen online, that never said anything like zero carbs, keto. I hate the word keto, or high protein, and carbs are bad for you, and you've got to work like 6 days a week to lose weight, and the usual things that you hear online. And that made me feel so good, because that sounded something that I could do, because just sticking to a nutrition plan that worked for me and my body, that was catered to the number of calories that I would burn every day, or my BMI is a stupid concept, but I'm so sorry, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. But that sounded like something I could do, like not cut out carbs completely, and eat the foods that I liked, the South Indian foods that I love, like the idlis and the dosas and the occasional samosas, the gobi Manchurian when I wanted, and maybe, a brownie once a month, or maybe even twice a month if my macros allowed it. But yeah, I could do that. And, I didn't have to stop having my ghee, I didn't have to stop eating rice, I didn't have to stop eating rotis, and I didn't have to like completely ban potatoes and cheese from my life. Turns out cheese is a really good, extremely good fat and protein source for vegetarians. I don't know how many of you knew that. I didn't before because I thought cheese was a villain, although I loved it. But it's an extremely good fat and protein source for all you vegetarians out there. And trust me, I've been doing this for 9 months and I've lost 22 kilos, which is around almost 44 pounds till now. And I've done that while having cheese and potatoes and the occasional chocolates and samosas and things like that. So I'm not saying that have a samosa every day. Don't get me wrong. Again, your nutrition plan completely depends on your age and your body and how many calories you burn at rest every day, and yeah. So there's various factors that contribute to what kind of work do you do, what your physical activity level is, how many times you work out per week, and how your stress levels are, how well you're sleeping. And these are all things that I learned through the Boss Body Nutrition program with T. So I approached her, and she was really gracious enough to hop on a call with me to understand my mindset, and we immediately hit it off, and we started doing the one-on-one private calls. So we used to do one call every week. It was on a Tuesday, and then I would fill in this weekly check-in document at the end of every week, and she would review that before our call next week. And she was also my accountability partner. So I used to be like, I used to tell her that I'm going to get these 4 workouts in this week, and I used to feel really bad if I couldn't, and I used to text her every time that I was actually able. I still do that, by the way. Whenever I hit a milestone, or whenever I hit my lowest weight, or whenever I had to just talk to a friend, because she's always been more of a friend than a nutrition coach. She was a really good nutrition coach when I needed her to be, but she was a friend when I needed a shoulder to cry on to. And that's probably the best part of this program. That's what I love about her. And the whole program, the way the program is designed. And the best part is that this program is completely customized to your needs. I remember so naively asking Dee during one of her very first calls that what, I love my idli and podi, and I'm a typical Tamil Chennai girl, so I love my idlis and my podi, and I love podi idli. The podi is like this lentil spice powder that you use as a side for your idlis. So I love that, and I so naively asked her like if I would be able to continue having that, because I have that with oil. So I was like, is it really harmful? Is it going to harm my nutrition or my weight loss in any way if I continue having my podi? And she's like, who said so? Who made those rules? Who told you that? Do you have any scientific backing to say that it's going to harm your weight loss or your nutrition? As long as it fits into your macros, you're meeting your carbs, fats, and protein goals for the day, and you are in your calorie deficit, which is again customized for each person, you're good. Who's stopping you? So, and that's when I realized that I was on the right path, and I had reached out to the right person, and I was following the right nutrition program. And this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've lost 44 pounds, almost 22 kilos. And I've never looked this great. I feel great. And it was not just about the weight loss and the nutrition and the macros. My training was a lot deeper. It was about the mindset, my relationship with food, and how confidently I carried. Even now, I'm not a size 0. I'm still an obese person by medical standards. I'm still an obese person, and I'm still overweight. And I'm not like, I'm not one of those supermodels walking on those ramps, but I'm a lot more confident than I've ever been in my life. I've never worn summer dresses. I went in and I bought like a bunch of summer dresses this summer that just went past, and I wore them on. I've never been able to even wear something as revealing as that. I know when I say revealing, it sounds as if I'm wearing a bikini, but for me, a summer dress is revealing because I've never worn one in my life. So I've never been able to wear that in public, and Dee really encouraged me to do that, because one of the biggest fears I've had throughout this process is my wedding. I didn't know if I could lose enough weight before the wedding and look great, because I'm going to be wearing like 8 different outfits, and I want to look good because I don't want to be judged by the family or friends or anyone, which is probably still going to happen. It doesn't matter because people are people. But, it was bothering me a lot. So she encouraged me to wear, something nice, something like a party wear, like a summer dress that might look something similar to my wedding reception dress, and go outside and meet people and talk to people about it. So I did that, and trust me, I've never been so confident in my life before. I've never been able to carry myself this confidently with so much elan and so much panache before in my life, and I'm really proud of myself for having done that, and I'm extremely grateful to Dee for pushing me to do that and for being there when I needed her. So I was able to do that, and my relationship with food has completely changed. Like I said, I love cheese and I have cheese so much, but I make sure that it's still within my macros and my deficit. And of course, I do eat out. I eat out like at least once every week. I have my samosas. Again, I make sure they're within my macros. And it's not all perfect, and it's all not all goody good. It's like, there are going to be days when I slack, and I'm too stressed out and I binge eat, which is what I didn't want to do. And but it's fine. You just got to remind yourself that tomorrow's another day and you can get back on track. Try to. So these always taught me to find out why I binged, and what was it, an emotional trigger, and what emotional trigger was it exactly. So I was better able to understand myself, my mindset, and I was able to. So if that happened again, I was able to control it. I was able to divert myself, fill my emotional voids by talking to a friend or talking to my fiance, or just going out for a nice pedicure, or getting a massage. So when I started doing those things, I realized I know how much I was using food as a reward, or as something to numb my feelings down, which I really didn't want to do. And I started looking at food as something that nourishes me, that gives me nutrition, and something that makes me feel great, because it's food, it's tasty, it's meant to make you feel great, but not numb your pain, or not make you get over something, like if you're feeling depressed. So yeah, that's what Dee's done to me, and my life has completely changed. And I eat extremely mindfully now. I'm respectful of my food, no matter what it is, and I'm not paranoid about eating out anymore, or eating out in groups. I used to be before, because I know exactly what I'm going to be eating. I know exactly how much I'm going to be eating, and since I eat mindfully, I don't have to be worried about binging, or eating more than I need, and making a blunder there. So it's all thanks to Dee. It's all thanks to the Boss Body Nutrition Program. I work out like 4 times a week, and now it's increased. And I started very slowly. I started at 2 times a week, and now I'm at 4, and I'm moving on to 5 right now. So and my mindset about food and myself is completely changed. My self-worth has increased so much. Dee has taught me that your body is an instrument. It's not an ornament. I think we all need to keep that in mind. Our body is the only place we have to live in, so we need to take care of that, but it's not really something to be flaunted. Or I mean, I'm not saying don't flaunt it, but that's not the only thing that you would have to live by. There's so many other things that life's worth living for. So Dee taught me that being beautiful, looking thin is not everything about life. And I'm so glad that I'm able to see now, because I don't know if maybe a year back I would have been able to make this video. I would have been so embarrassed and ashamed to even put my face on a video like this and send it to for so many people to see. But I'm able to do that now. And my wedding's 4 months away. I've lost good amount of weight, and I'm hoping to lose some more, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be become size 0 or like this, or completely thin by the time of my wedding, which is what I wanted to before. But now I'm fine with it, because I know I'm going to look great, immaterial of how much I weigh, or how much the weighing scale tells me that I weigh, or whatever it is. I know I'm going to look great, because that's how confident I've become. And I'm also working on not letting other people's opinions and thoughts get to me, but I'm human at the end of the day. So but it's not as bad as it was before. So it's not like I couldn't step out of the house before, worrying about what other people would say or think. But I don't have that worry anymore now. So it's all great, and it's all thanks to Dee and the Boss Body Nutrition Program. So yeah, I hope I've not missed anything out. I hope I've given, and I know it's a really, really long video. It's like literally an episode of a TV show, but there was just so much to say about Dee, and so much to talk about her. So I'm so happy that I did it. I'm extremely grateful that I found Dee, and she was able to help me and throughout this whole thing. And if you're someone out there who's confused about um, you know if you wanna join D's nutrition program, the Boss Body Nutrition Program, and if you're confused about it, I would say don't be confused. Just take the leap of faith, and it's completely worth it. It's completely worth your time, energy, and money. I couldn't guarantee it more than that. It's completely worth it. And when you finish the program, or at the other end of the program, you will come out a completely different person, and you will be a lot closer to your higher self, which is what DF always has aspired me has always has asked me to aspire to be. Like, don't compare yourself to anyone else. Just be your higher self. Don't be like anyone else. So I can assure you that, and I'm pretty sure that all of you out there who's already doing the program is going to see great success. D will make sure of that, and um, I've said this a million times, but I can say it again. I love you so much, D, and I love the Boss Body Nutrition Program, and I'm truly, truly, truly grateful for this. So, yay, wishing you all guys all the best with your fitness journeys and with your life journeys, and signing out for now. Bye bye.